Tuberculosis is a disease that affects the lungs and some other organs in the body, which could include the brain and the spine and also the kidney. It is actually a disease that is caused by a bacteria called Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And it's a disease that has been existing for a very long time, and it's actually affected quite a lot of people living in different countries and in different parts of the world. One thing to also note sometimes is people could be affected by tuberculosis germs and don't end up having a tuberculosis disease, and which also means they might not necessarily fall sick if they just have an infection that's not yet progressed to becoming a TB disease. One very important point to note is people could have a TB infection and don't show any signs of the disease, tuberculosis disease. So when it has progressed, then people end up showing some symptoms, and obviously at that stage could be termed as having tuberculosis disease. Some of the common symptoms that people tend to display when they have a TB infection include night sweats, fever, chills, weakness or fatigue. Some people experience weight loss, and some people end up experiencing no appetite. They just don't have the appetite to have food. We've also had people having cough, which sometimes lasts for more than 3 weeks. And some patients have also reported pains in the chest. And very commonly is people also having cough, and when they end up coughing blood or they end up coughing spots and have phlegm that are produced from the lung. But very importantly, like I said, it's very important that people are able to check their status to ensure that they don't have the infection, which obviously means they don't necessarily present as being sick, and this obviously can be achieved by carrying out diagnosis tests. Tuberculosis spread through the air. It spread from one person to the other who has contagious TB, and that when the person coughs, they speak, or they sing. So basically, it's a disease that can be transferred by air, and it happens from one person that is contagious to transfer that disease to another person. Also to know that it's a disease that cannot be transferred by kissing. It cannot be transferred by sharing items such as toothbrush. Best ways for preventing tuberculosis is just to ensure that you're vaccinated against TB, and that's by having the BCG vaccine, which is normally recommended for children also and to adults under the age of 13 who could be considered at risk of contracting TB. And also it's very important that when there is someone who already has TB that has been diagnosed, that is known, and the person is maybe isolated from other people until they are treated, until there is reduction in the risk of transfer of the germs to another person. With treatment, tuberculosis can always be cured. Most of the time, people get treated by being on the course of antibiotics, which they usually need to take for about 6 months. There are some times where some people could be resistant to some antibiotics. It's also very important to be able to understand the antibiotics that will be effective for that individual after they've been diagnosed as having tuberculosis. And if people are diagnosed with pulmonary TB, they will be contagious for about 2 to 3 weeks into the course of the treatment. So it's quite very important that people understand the treatment plan that is going to work for them. For people with TB, a course of antibiotics will usually need to be taken for a period of 6 months. This is also very important to ensure that the bacteria has actually will be getting rid of by the antibiotics plan, treatment plan that we put in place for them. Okay, tuberculosis is a disease that affects everyone. It can affect a child, it can affect an adult as well. But most especially, it's actually very common in adults that are acquiring active years. As we know, TB is one of those diseases that causes a high number of deaths over the world. According to World Organization, like we earlier mentioned, about 1.4 million people. And there was a research that talked about over 240,000 people dying of TB in Nigeria. TB is a disease that, if it's well managed, the number of deaths it causes is going to be reduced. And one of the key factors for people also die sometimes from TB disease is because a lot of people might have latent TB, where they actually have TB germs infection, but they are not showing any symptoms. And then over time, that symptoms can progress to become TB disease, which can affect their lung, affect other organs, and make them even more sick and get hospitalized. My recommendation is that everyone out there needs to make sure that they don't have a TB infection, which they could have and not show any sickness, and also they are not affected by TB disease. And the best way to do that is to ensure that you carry out a test in a diagnostic center. And that's one thing that we're doing in Medprime, in our center in Lagos, where we are actually helping the citizens in the local area in Lagos to carry out tests that show if they have latent TB, which means they're not showing symptoms, or if they have TB, which obviously has started to make them sick or affect them. Carrying out an early diagnosis will help to reduce the chances or the likelihood of that person dying or that person's organ being affected. It's very important that every one of us out there is aware of the damage tuberculosis can cause to your health. Over the years, people have become a little bit unaware of tuberculosis consequences of the damages it can actually cause to their health. So being aware allows you to ensure that you maintain your health standard in a way that you do not get impacted by the infection when someone around you have it, or also you carrying a test to ensure that you don't have it. It's very important that you understand the symptoms of tuberculosis, just in case your family members have it, so that they don't end up spreading it across to everyone in the household. It's also very important that everyone is aware of the symptoms, so that when someone at workplace has it, they're able to discuss and work with them to be isolated to reduce the spread. Good knowledge of this disease, being aware of this disease, will help every one of us to stay a bit more healthy, will help us reduce the chances of it spreading, and at the same time will also help us all to reduce the death it causes by going for earlier diagnosis at the time when you are presenting the symptoms, or at any other time when you just want to check if you have a latent TB infection.